Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into how General Grievous turned into a cyborg, so let's get straight into it. Grievous chose to become a cyborg, receiving his enhancements over time, after the Sith gave him an unquestionable chance. They had been looking to test technologically advanced beings, and Grievous agreed to take on the tests. After accepting Dooku's invitation, Grievous sacrificed practically all of his physical body and nerve endings to increase his combat abilities, and gain the strength and speed to rival even a Jedi Master through cybernetics. He became an even more threatening and fearsome warrior. These augmentations turned an already capable warrior into a nearly unstoppable killing machine on the battlefield, giving him capabilities beyond those of a normal soldier. According to legends of Grievous' mental state, however, the augmentations did little to settle his mind and led to increased anger. His transformation occurred over a period of time. He gradually traded many of his biological parts for upgraded mechanical ones, to become a murderous cyborg with one obsession: killing Jedi. By the time of his choice, Grievous had grown psychotic and thus saw his enhancements as a logical development. However, Grievous proved to be a volatile ally. As such, Sand Hill, chairman of the Intergalactic Banking Clan, began conspiring with the Separatist allies, including Archduke Poggle the Lesser of Geonosis and Dooku, to destroy Grievous and rebuild him into a super cyborg of servitude. Grievous' shuttle was critically sabotaged, nearly killing him and destroying most of what remained of his original body. Rumors would later be spread that the crash was orchestrated by Dooku. Following the gruesome battle crash that left him seriously injured, the Count offered the Kaleesh warrior life-saving surgery. The general had a deep and fierce hatred for the Jedi, the Republic, and the Yamari, after Dooku revealed that a Jedi was responsible for the sabotage, which fueled him to accept the reconstruction and return to military service. Yet Dooku was directly responsible for the crash that resulted in Grievous injuries and subsequent transformation. Separatist cybernetics experts and Geonosian biotechnicians surgically reconstructed Grievous with assistance from medical droids, including the FX-9 surgical assistant, FX-6, under the supervision of Dooku. Among the repairs and improvements provided by Geonosian biotechs, some areas of Grievous' brain were altered without his knowledge, in order to make him smarter and a faster fighter. Such upgrades included the installation of combat programming. Furthermore, his brain areas was also modified, with brain tissue wired directly into and carrying electrical signals to better facilitate the use of his cyborg body. However, his memory center was also tinkered with to suppress memories of his past, to concentrate more, and increase his aggression. While Grievous' vision was enhanced by cybernetic implants, his eyes were his own, with enough skull remaining behind them to protect the organic muscles and tendons required for them to function properly. His lungs were given implants as well. Many critical decisions were made regarding what should be kept of his mangled body. By the time the Kaleesh warrior had been rebuilt, very little of his original form remained. These remaining structures largely consist of only his brain, eyes, marrow bone, spinal column, cord, heart, damaged lungs, liver, and several vital internal organs. The portions of his digestive system required to maintain his organic elements were preserved as well, all implanted into a duranium alloy body that encased him for the rest of his life. His form was completed with 2 mechanical arms that could split into 4, turning him into a 4-armed cyborg monstrosity, 2 LX-44 robot legs, and integrated sensors that allowed him to touch and feel the world. But his mind began to fracture. Grievous' armor, made of durasteel, composite duranium, and armorplast, was not as indestructible as Mandalorian Beskar. However, it was easier to manufacture and repair. The cyborg's body was purposefully designed to resemble Grievous' Kaleesh body and warlord armor, including a faceplate paying homage to his earlier life that mimicked the general shape of his snub nose, and the bony protrusions of his chin echoing and resembling the mask he once wore. Carved from a Mumu skull and given Karabakh blood war paint, evoking the people's culture, an ultrasonic vocabulator generated his raspy speech, almost perfectly mimicking his original voice, positioned right where his mouth, including his teeth, should have been. Due to previously compromised lungs, his speech occasionally degraded into coughing fits. However, Grievous' spinal cord carried signals to and from his robotic limbs and body, as well as his remaining organs. Millions of pinpoint electrodes were inserted into his brain from the lining of his helmet to monitor brain activity and improve neural signal timings. His head unit, which additionally retained parts of his skull, could be opened to allow for electronic repair or replacement, as well as further surgery. Though the cyborg's skeletal structure bore various callbacks to his Kaleesh past, the vast majority of resemblances to other Kaleesh eliminated. Only his beady gold reptilian eyes and slit pupils, flat nose, and elongated ears remained, surrounded by dark, tortured skin, extending somewhat upward to the forehead beneath his faceplate. At first glance, only his eyes were clearly visible, the eyelids and remaining skin demonstrating the Kaleesh speckles' reptilian origin. Horribly alive beneath his inanimate steel mask, revealing his cyborg's nature. According to some claims, only his eyes resembled the man he once was, and looking into them was like gazing into a black hole of the maw. As a cyborg, he did not have to eat or drink, and could survive in a vacuum or underwater. He was also immune to poisons and toxins, so many of the pockets were carved to seem more like bone rather than metal, protecting his remaining vital organs. The technology that was used for Grievous' construction into a cyborg wasn't perfect. His heart and lungs were weakening, with his organic lungs irritated by their implants, giving him a persistent cough for the rest of his life, and eventually difficulty breathing. That information was in the Sith's possession in case they had additional candidates for conversation in the future. The general was given his first new weapon by Dooku, a lightsaber belonging to a long-dead friend of a former Jedi. Grievous continued to add other weapons to the collection he had started when he was still a warlord on Kali, furious that his body had been entirely replaced with that of droids he hated, despite it being his own wish to become a cyborg, and that put him down this path. Grievous slaughtered all the guards present at his resurrection. Disgusted by his cyborg body, Grievous reluctantly accepted the job of Supreme Commander of the Separatist droid armies. No longer recognized as the person he once was, and more machine than alien, there was near nothing left but metal, mechanical actuators, armor-plast, and hatred. With his living Kaleesh flesh traded for cyborg implants, Grievous claimed that his changes were improvements he chose to celebrate. Grievous was then chosen and given training with a lightsaber by Dooku himself, renowned for his swordsmanship dating back to the Jedi days. When it came to dealing out death, he was a miraculous learner. For him, the differences in saber styles were simply military techniques to him. Despite his lack of force sensitivity, he mastered several classic Jedi arts and was able to adapt quickly to an opponent's fighting style. His impressive, incredibly effective fighting style resulted from a combination of Dooku's and a combat program. He spent hours on end watching holo videos of Jedi in combat and reading all the training manuals Dooku could supply him with. In addition to his training, Grievous passed on everything he learned to his bodyguards to ensure their utmost effectiveness in combat. He also used them as sparring partners to keep himself sharp. The Magna Guards shared his fearsome reputation and carried out his orders more unquestioningly than even his former supporters. Grievous was rarely seen without at least two by his side, forming a shield around him that few could pass. Grievous voluntarily submitted to mechanical modifications, altering and improving his cybernetic body. The statues lining the halls of his fortress told a story of a transformation into the privacy of his inner sanctum. Some stories stated that Grievous was already a cyborg when Count Dooku recruited him, as evidenced by the statues on Vasek's third moon. As recounted in one legend, when Grievous' transformation was occurring over time, he initially only made simple enhancements before moving on to extreme changes. The legend said Grievous transformed himself because he admired the logic of droids and wanted to mirror their infallibility, strength, and power. Although Grievous was clearly confused about his final form, he despised his merely mechanical militia, perhaps implying deeper thoughts about his own drastic transformation. Regardless of how he came to be, Grievous' cybernetics greatly improved his skills, providing him an obvious advantage in battle. A modified EV series medical droid named EV-A4D was given to Grievous by the Separatists to serve as a surgeon, doctor, and cybernetics repair mechanic. With access to all of Grievous' medical and cybernetic records, and a significantly increased intelligence, The fairly caustic and slightly sadistic droid became the ideal foil for him, as well as his doctor, who was one of the galaxy's few individuals who knew his master's secrets. A4D always kept spares for the general and helped in the design and installation of additional parts for his master. In this regard, his claim that he chose his own modifications could be considered true from a certain point of view. In addition to the literal perspective of those he did choose, he also owned an enormous rogwart named Gore, whom he had enhanced by the droid with whip-like cybernetic limbs attached to his back and an exoskeleton attached to his body. Gore, like his master, was given a chest plate to protect his vital organs, and a helmet to protect his brain case. Grievous showed Gore some affection, and during his numerous absences, Gore was tended to by the medical droid. So what'd you guys think of how General Grievous turned into a cyborg? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.